Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. Today I'd like to go back discussing the case of Summer Moon Uta Wells. Summer is a 5-year-old girl who was reported in Tennessee, Rogersville, Hawkins County on the 15th of June 2021. An endangerment alert was raised by the law enforcement. The next day, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the FBI got involved in the search for Summer Moon Uta Wells. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, after they spoke to the parents, they raised the endangerment alert automatically to an amber alert. An amber alert is the highest alert you can get on a missing child. Unfortunately, it's not been used in every case, and I hope they change the rights and people vote to change it in the States, because I believe every child and adult out there deserves an amber alert, God forbid, in case anything happens to them. Everyone deserves equal justice for mental health, equal justice for justice itself, for law. Coming back to this case, the TBI raised the endangerment alert into an amber alert. I personally believe, this is for speculation purposes only, I personally believe that the TBI raised raised it to an amber alert because they definitely must have sensed there was some kind of foul play here, and that this story did not add up. Allegedly, according to the timeline, which is so full of unprofessionalism, lies, Candy said that at 8 in the morning she dropped off her mother, Candy Herer, to the ER because the mother was suffering of knee inflammation. Allegedly, because her grandchildren kicked her on her knee. So that shows, at least to start with, that there's some kind of abuse going on, whether it's from children to adult or adult to children. There is definitely a lot of concerning things in this case. At 8 a.m. in the morning, Candus took her mother to the emergency ward, and she said that she picked up Hunter between 10 to 10:30. That's according to Hunter. Hunter is a 15-year-old boy whose mother, Allison, was friends with Candice Bly, and they said, allegedly, they said that they slipped off and they did not understand each other and they don't talk to each other. They weren't talking to each other for almost a year, if not a year, but coincidentally, Allison gave her son permission to go with Candice to fishing. They were supposed to allegedly go to fishing. There was no fishing that was done. They didn't even have fishing rods. So that is another red flag. But they all ended up going to the horse pond while the grandmother was in the ER, allegedly. Allegedly, according to Hunter and the 15-year-old boy, and according to Candice, they said that Grandus came with them to the swimming pond, the horse's pond. But the way we clearly see from Grandus, Candy Herer, is timeline that she gave 6 weeks ago to the WHJL. You could see that she was hesitating a lot. As a cognitive behavior therapist, I could see that that whole interview, I personally, it was one of the coldest interviews I've seen, without empathy. And it was strange to see that Grandis was talking about, I believe that was a red flag, talking about that statistically many children and many adults get missing every day. So this is not something that is abnormal. So she was giving us the same theory and the same red flags that Dawn her son-in-law that Summer's father has given us all the time. Candus has been running away with the abduction theory too, but we remember clearly from the interview on the 16th of June 2021, one day after Summer went missing. It shows us it says on the news that the TBI said that the girl was seen last outside her house barefooted. So the question is, did Candice take Summer Munu Wells to the basement? Did she actually follow her and see her go down the steps? Was Summer running downstairs and did she fall and have a nasty accident, God forbid? Could the brothers who were carrying the 3 pocket knives could have been playing with it and accidentally hit Summer? I'm not getting children involved in this, but I'm just saying that's doing it professionally without mentioning names. Anything is possible. Every theory has to be ruled out. I'm even, no, I wouldn't say suspecting, but I've never had good feelings about Jodie Sue Brown because her story has never ever seemed to make sense to me. It's not due to just her heavy southern accent, but it's more like she's chewing her words on purpose, and she always contradicts herself. She's another Dawn. I'm not saying that Jodie Sue did anything, but I find it very strange that Jodie Sue is not talking and that she's clearly hiding something. Then you have Allison, his mother. Obviously, this family is putting the blame on the Wells, and the Wells is putting back the blame on Allison and Hunter. But Allison, his mother, Sherry, clearly said that Hunter has never been the same after that day when he came from the swimming hole. The mother, Allison, said that he went directly to his room. He wouldn't speak to anyone. I had to call my friend, and when she came, we tried to talk to him. He looked very traumatized, and I can actually use his own words that he's been saying in the interview. Maybe he was spooked, or maybe, what was the word he said? He said, I don't get shook, I just get spooked. So maybe he was spooked about the whole situation. But something is clearly not right, because you hear Allison coaching her son Hunter to say that he was in the park. I wonder if this is the same girlfriend that he's getting married to, that he spent allegedly time with in the park. Then if the neighbors of Allison are telling the truth, and when they were explaining about one episode where he was bullying a 13, 14-year-old girl and he beat her badly on the street. So if that was allegedly true, then we do have a situation here, a concern here. And I remember in the Unmasked, like, share, and subscribe to her. They do excellent work. I remember the first interview they took was on the 4th of July with with Allison and Leslie. And I remember clearly this is before we got to see Chris's interview with Leslie, Allison, and Hunter. In the Unmasked interview was first, and they clearly said in the Unmasked interview, Leslie, it slips out of her mouth and she says that he's just a kid who has ADHD, and she didn't even say impulsive ADHD. She said he just has ADHD, and he's a good kid. He tries to work and save money and all that. But she said that the word she used was, he has anger issues, but which child does it? Which teenager doesn't have it? She passed it away with that. And as we're aware of, ADHD is a mental health disorder. They have it really difficult concentrating, waiting for their turn. They interrupt you when people are talking. It's mostly their thoughts, their cognitive sides, and their behaviors. They're very hyperactive, and they don't do much concentration or decision making before they do anything. It is usually recommended that if there's any parents who have loved ones who have children who are young, I mean, like kids like 8, 9, and 6, 7 actually. And if you feel like they're just hyperactive running around and you believe it's ADHD, I would advise you not to jump to conclusions, because the best way to check ADHD and to evaluate children, even with bipolar and such things, you never get the right results in a very early age of the child's life. That's why there has to be other things involved, like when a child goes to school, it'll be much easier to see how they're communicating and playing around with the other students in the classrooms, how they are towards their teachers. Do they interrupt everyone? Do they interrupt their teachers? Can they obey and follow rules? Can they maintain themselves? Can there's like there's many other things. I'll give you an example. An ADHD teenager could be sitting in a classroom full of students, and he could be pretending to listen to the lesson, but it could be two of the things. Either he's not paying attention, most likely because the subject doesn't interest him, or it could be possibly that lack of motivation. They are very energetic people. They're quite hyperactive. So unless there's something they really are keen in doing, they try to they end up losing focus, and that is not on purpose. Just something to do with the brains, obviously, and this is a cognitive behavior issue too. And that is what I've always said. It scares me because uh, Hunter does have, he said himself, he has a diagnosis called impulsive ADHD. He said he couldn't wait in turn for his line. There's many other things. Concentration. They don't have concentration. They can't control themselves when it comes to the concentration. They're very forgetful. They need to be reminded to do things. They can, yeah, it's just a condition that some of them are in such a severe ADHD. There's mild, moderate, and severe. So when they're in the severe stages, they may need medication so that they can basically not stress themselves so much, especially with the thought process with the cognitive side, because they have too many things going on in their little mind. So with therapy and medication, they usually get it right. And there are many clients that could have been false got false positive that they have ADHD or bipolar, but it's too young to state. So just follow on things that are quite abnormal, that keeps on going on constantly. Then you would need to maybe see a doctor or take it up with a counselor, psychologist, or someone in the mental health department, or a psychiatrist. Uh, that was about Hunter. Then you have Candus. Today I'd like to talk a bit about Candus in the mental health perspective. I've always believed, this is for entertainment purpose only. This is my personal meaning. I really do believe that Candice Bly suffers of bipolar 1. The reason for me to say that is she looks like she's having a major depressive disorder. She looks like she feels hopeless, discouraged. She doesn't have much energy. She has a low self-esteem. And she looks like she can be going on for days and days without any sleep. And then you have the addiction there, which is quite common with many people on bipolar. They end up self-medicating themselves with alcohol and drugs, and that is deadly. There's two kinds of bipolar. There's bipolar 1, and that is a lot of manic episodes. And then you have bipolar 2, that's hypomanic disorders episodes. So when you see a person who has bipolar 1, they usually have a 7-day length of period where they would be doing behaviors and things that they usually don't do, or act in a sense that they usually don't do. That would say usually if you're checking bipolar 1, it has to be 7 days or over, and the people have to take at least 3 of the boxes in the bipolar 1. One of them being insomnia for over 7 days, extreme high energy, grandeur, having a very high self-esteem, believing that there's something they ain't, in a way, very energetic, and that is the extreme highs of that. And that could go on for a week, a bit longer, but if it is less than 4 days to 4 days, then that would be a hypomanic bipolar. That would be bipolar 2. And that usually lasts for a length of 4 days and not 7 days. But what happens in bipolar 2 is they are usually weeks and weeks into a depression, and then that depression could just go up and go into a manic side, and that could go on for 4 days or a bit longer. And then it could be kind of normal, that they could go on normal for a couple of months if they're under their medication and everything. And with good therapy, it can be controllable, but it is a mental health illness. So that is one of the reasons I believe that Candus could be bipolar.